So, you and your fire team are ready to take on the new Equilibrium dungeon. However, as you gather in orbit and prepare to launch the activity, you run into a major problem. You don't know what loadouts or builds to bring into the new dungeon. Well, today I'm going to answer that question by showcasing the weapons and builds that were used for Team Tommy's world's first completion of Equilibrium. We'll go over the weapons, subclass layouts, exotics, and important mods that were used to make this dungeon easier. As a quick note, this will not cover the mechanics and details unless a weapon or build choice was made with that mechanic in mind. If you want to skip to a certain encounter, check the timestamps in the description below. But with that being said, I'm SniperKH and let's get into it. Let's first talk about the first encounter. The first encounter is an objective-based encounter which will favor more ad clear and crowd control weapons and builds. That said, there are some tankier enemies in this encounter, so having weapons that can do good damage will prove to be useful, and this is proven by looking at the team's loadouts. The go-to weapons prove to be Mint Retrograde in the primary slot, Choir of One in the secondary slot, and an Eager Edge Sword in the heavy slot. However, you could also use the Praxic Blade in the primary slot, Psi Eterno 4 in the secondary slot, and an Eager Edge Sword in the heavy slot. Mint Retrograde and Psi Eterna prove to be strong options as they offer great damage towards tankier enemies, while also being a good tool for ad clear. Choir of One is mostly effective for ad clear and has deep enough reserves that you don't need to worry about running out of ammo often, even when running double specials. As for Eager Edge, it's to get around the play area faster, as in the contest version of the dungeon, the encounter has a 5-minute timer that, if expired, will wipe the team, meaning you don't want to be wasting time, especially since most of the completions of this encounter came down to the final seconds. When looking into the builds the teams used, I noticed that all 3 players chose to play Warlocks for this race, and it's understandable when looking into their choice of builds. In the opening encounter, 2 of the Warlocks ran the Buddy build, which is the turret spam build. I put the build layout on screen now, but you can also head to the description below for the dim link. The main difference between most Buddy builds and this one is that we're using Bleak Watchers rather than Hellion. The reason for this is because Bleak Watchers proves to be a stronger tool for crowd control, since you can slow and freeze targets to keep them out of your way. The super choice for this build is also important to mention, as both Prismatic Warlocks ran 2 different supers, with one using Needlestorm and the other using Song of Flame. Needlestorm has proven to be a stronger boss super option now in Renegades thanks to recent buffs, and Song of Flame is a strong super to help teammates get their abilities back faster while also granting massive damage resistance boosts. The important part of Song of Flame's usage here has to do with how it aids their third teammate's build, who is using Void Warlock. Now, it was difficult to find the exact build layout they were using, so I analyzed their gameplay and put together a build layout that I think closely resembles what they used on screen. The important part of this build will actually be found in our grenade, one of the chosen aspects, and the chosen exotic. Our chosen grenade is the magnetic grenade, which might seem confusing, but it is the best of the 4 grenade options that we can use to fully synergize with our chosen aspect. The chosen aspect is Chaos Accelerant, which allows for us to consume our chosen grenade and transform it into a short-ranged burst attack. This aspect proved to be really strong for chunking tankier enemies and bosses, as it does a crazy amount of damage. The chosen exotic is Controverse Hold, which grants bonus damage resistance when charging a grenade, but also grants grenade energy back when dealing damage with our grenade. It's the synergy between Controverse and Chaos Accelerant that creates a strong burst damage build, and as some foreshadowing, you'll want to get familiar with this build. We now move on to the Dredge and Harrow encounter, which is the first of 2 boss fights. As is usual for boss fights, strong DPS weapons will prove to be stellar here, as many teams used Parasite and Wolfsbane. That being said, Team Tommy opted to use Rocket Pulses, Finality's Augur, and Void Grenade spam. The major difference between the builds was that Team Tommy chose to run 2 Void Grenade spam builds with 1 Prismatic Warlock on Song of Flame. The 2 Void spam Warlocks were running mostly bossing weapons, with Mario Monkey using Mint Retrograde with Choir of One, and Biggs running Mint Retrograde with Psi Eterna 4. The damage rotation with this setup is very easy to follow, as you're just spamming grenades as soon as you get them, and using your Rocket Pulses and Supers while your grenades are on cooldown. Luigi, on the other hand, opted to use a Buddy build prismatic setup for the ad clear and use Song of Flame to boost ability regeneration for the 2 Void Warlocks to keep chunking the boss, and for Luigi's weapons, he ran Mint Retrograde with Finality's Augur. As I covered in the Epic DP analysis earlier this year, Finality Augur with its Catalyst proves to be a strong swap weapon thanks to the Catalyst granting bait and switch. Luigi would activate his super first, so his Void Warlock could start spamming their abilities, then fire his turret up into the air, then activate bait and switch before mainly using Mint Retrograde for DPS. Doing this damage rotation allowed for Team Tommy to two-phase the boss and smoke Harrow in his final stand. Moving on to the Dredge and Seer fight, we're going to notice that the loadouts stay mostly the same. For the build side of things, there's no difference between what Team Tommy ran in the first boss fight and what they ran in the second boss fight, as they continue to run 2 Void Warlocks and 1 Prismatic Warlock with Song of Flame. When looking deeper into the loadouts, there's not many changes outside of one change Mario made to his loadout. For this encounter, Mario opted to run a healing frame auto rifle rather than Choir of One. Reason being that the main area of this playing space has lightning constantly shooting down on you, with the boss's main lightning attack being able to hit you through walls. Because of that, having a healing auto rifle allows for you to heal a teammate fast while giving them extra time to get another healing source if the boss happens to aggro on them. Other than that, the playstyle stays the same as the previous encounter, where Mario and Biggs would use Mint Retrograde and charged Void Grenades as their main damage sources, while Luigi would activate Song of Flame and use both Finality's Augur and Mint Retrograde for his main damage dealers. This combination allowed for Team Tommy to comfortably 3-phase the boss and claim their second world's first clear, making them the first dungeon team to go back to back. Overall, these were the main loadouts used by Team Tommy in their clear. As I mentioned early on, I'll have the dim links to each loadout below if you want to copy them for your clear, whether that be a normal clear or a contest clear. If you found today's analysis helpful, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Destiny 2 content dropping weekly. Be sure to stop by the Twitch streams that happen every weekday at 12 PM Eastern for more build crafting content. Otherwise, be sure to follow my other social media platforms below and consider checking out the video on screen now. My name is SniperKH, and I'm out. Good luck with gaming.